It's time now for the Doug Garrison Show. Joining Doug tonight are Teri Schafer of Healing Arts, Marcia Dionne of AAA Michigan, Gail and Kimberly from the Marquette County Y, and us, the Slamtones. The Doug Garrison Show starts now.
Tell the host 2 minutes. Stand by live to tape. Lighting to show level, please. Confirm front of house sound PFL. Roll tape on masters, channel to places. Alright, let's clear the set. Cue John music, open stage mics, standby effects, standby CG, standby to open on 3, 2. Alright folks, let's have a good show. Stand by, roll it in.
Okay. Yep. All right. Good. Very good. Good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks. We've got a great crowd here tonight at Up Front and Company. Seems like a very mature crowd. I'm not sure why that is, but I think that's a good thing. That's not a bad, that's a good thing. We should have a good show for you tonight. I want you to notice I'm not wearing a tie, and that's in honor of our new governor of the state of Michigan. You know, Governor Snyder doesn't wear ties. I saw he wore one for his inauguration, but other than that, he doesn't wear ties. So that's in honor of the governor. Now, I haven't worn a tie yet, but tonight it's in honor of the governor. I'm just glad Governor Granholm wasn't reelected because I'd had to bring that dress out that I've been hiding in the closet, but we don't have to worry about that. So we do have a good show for you tonight. It's going to be exciting. We're going to talk about depression. So, yeah, no, it's not a laughing matter. We're going to address a topic that is kind of prevalent this time of year. And here at the Doug Garrison Show, we don't just present a problem and drop it. We're going to have some solutions as well. So we're going to talk about depression. We've got some ideas of how you and your family members might do something about it. We've got a great show. The Slamtones are here, so stick around. We'll be right back.
Your success in life means more than your 9-to-5 workday. It means having fun. Start dreaming of your new toy and take advantage of low rates at the Superior Iron Range Community Federal Credit Union. Whether it plays, floats, rides, or drives, the SIR will help you finance your dreams. Visit a loan officer today to get pre-approved for your dream toy. The Superior Iron Range Community Federal Credit Union. Your success in life is our success.
Very good. Very good. Very good. We have a very good crowd here tonight at Up Front and Company. Thanks for joining us. Our first guest tonight is Teri Schafer. Teri, thanks for joining us. We're going to talk a little bit about what I alluded to in my open, and that is depression. Before we get started with that, you've got a lot of letters behind your name, and I don't know what they mean. What is all that stuff?
I'm an LMSW, that's a licensed clinical social worker, and CAAC, which means I'm certified to do substance abuse treatment as well.
Okay, so you obviously know more about depression than I do, and for one reason is that I'm a guy, and I don't get depressed. I sometimes get bummed out, so I sometimes look at my checkbook, and I get a little down from that. But otherwise, you know, is it true that men don't suffer from depression as much as women?
Well, I think that everyone experiences depression. I think that we have different ways of maybe showing it or not showing it. But I think that everyone suffers from it, and that's why it's really important to be able to talk about it and talk about getting help for it.
Is that particularly true with men? Because we are depressed, but we hold it in because of the expectations that men don't show weaknesses?
I think so. I think sometimes we have a tendency to think that showing feelings means weakness, but actually, if I express my emotions, I'm going to feel stronger. So I think it's true that sometimes expectations stand in the way, and it makes it tough.
Yeah. And this time of year, too, and is there a term for this, like seasonal affective, this time of year when the days are short, it's dark, it's cold, the football season is almost coming to an end. Are we more depressed at this time of year? Is that a truism?
Seasonal affective lack of football disorder?
Yeah.
It's true. There actually is a disorder referred to as seasonal affective disorder, and it has to do with the sunlight and the impact on the brain and how that affects chemistry. It can actually make people more depressed starting in the fall and through the spring. When sunshine increases and daylight hours, people feel better. And so, needless to say, living here or Alaska or other places that have less sunlight, more people are affected with that, and it's a form of depression.
Speaking of that, because I don't want to just talk about the problem, we want to come up with some solutions. Are there some lights or things that you can actually put in your offices or in your home that help with that?
There are what's called full spectrum lighting. You can purchase them. Sometimes it's helpful to contact a clinic, such as our clinic, or pathways. You can get specific information about places that you can order these lights. Some places will advertise them, but you just make sure that what you're buying is the type of light that's really going to be helpful. It's not just any type of light.
Okay.
But yes, lighting can be helpful.
Okay. Let me ask you this. How do we know, how can we identify if we actually are depressed or someone in our family is actually depressed to the point of what we call, I guess, clinical depression?
Mm-hmm. That's a really good question. As you mentioned before, we all go through periods of being bummed out or sad, especially after the holidays or sometimes before the holidays. We might have a lot of expectations, or maybe we know things are going to be different. Or we have a lot of family and friends around, and suddenly everyone's gone. The celebrating is done.
Yeah.
It's back to the same old
Bills have to be
grind.
paid.
Bills have to be paid. That's right. And then we have January and February, which are dark and cold months here. And so it's easy to be down and to feel down. The difference between being down and feeling clinical depression is when your sadness occurs every day and almost all day for about 2 weeks or more. And not only is it feeling down and somewhat agitated, but also, too, you would feel a loss in interest in the things you normally enjoyed. Let's say you enjoyed football, you had hobbies, and suddenly you just didn't care anymore.
It's somewhat debilitating.
Well, it is debilitating. It also impacts appetite. People usually lose or gain weight. It affects sleep, where they may sleep more or sleep less. It changes people's bodies, where they slow down. It changes your mind, where it may be difficult to concentrate. It might be hard to think. And also a person may experience hopelessness, worthlessness, and suicidal thoughts. Yeah. And in worst case scenarios, experience the desire to create a plan and actually end their life. So it's a very serious
thing. These are
thing.
some of the things to look for. Mm-hmm. What are some practical things, and this is a very informal setting to diagnose and prescribe, but what are some practical things people can do if they recognize some of these?
Well, it's interesting because as we get more and more of a capability to explore the brain through imaging, what we know now is what we used to think that just medication could do as far as changing the brain. Now we have found there's other things we can do to change our brain chemistry too. One of those things is exercise. We know if you exercise 30 minutes a day, that may prevent depression or help to make your depressed mood better. We also know too that changing the way that you think can help. Depression has a tendency to kind of hop behind the wheel and put the brakes on in your whole life and your thinking and your body. If you can get behind the wheel and start to change that even when you don't feel like it, that can begin to change your brain. So as I mentioned, exercise begins to allow you to live your life again. Also changing depressed thinking. That doesn't mean I have to think flowery thoughts, but I can begin to think more factual thoughts or more gratitude type of thinking about what I have, what could be good in my life, the direction I want to go in. And I can be really careful to not confuse negative thoughts and feelings with the facts of my life. Sometimes I just have to sit and remind myself what the real facts are. And it may not feel good, but sometimes the facts will float me through hopelessness and help me to start on the path of feeling better.
So there are some things we can do with exercise, and there's medication, obviously, if you get to a certain point. But there's also a point, too, where it's beyond your control and you cannot actually positively affect yourself. And that's when we come to a professional like yourself at Healing Arts.
Right, and it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to have an evaluation done if your symptoms are lasting 2 weeks or longer, because we can help you to assess if this is a true clinical depression. We can review all the things that can help with changing things around. Our concern is if a person waits too long, it can take a while for medication to kick in, and if the person begins to experience suicidal thoughts, it can be just a very painful experience to have, and for some people they may follow through. So we take it seriously. We encourage others to take it seriously, seek an assessment. We are a holistic center, so as I mentioned, we don't just focus on medication. We talk to you about the things that you can do to get control over depression and get your life back.
Great. So there's help available. Mm-hmm. It's been nice talking to you. I've learned a little bit about it. I'm feeling better already. So Teri Schafer, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Doug.
The customer relationship and the direct contact with the people that work at the bank is still important to a lot of our customers. I think all of us at times want to get a question answered direct and find out exactly what needs to be done about certain issues or problems. That's where we really do a good job, because we have the long-term employees that have experienced all these issues and are familiar with all our products and services, and that's why Peninsula Bank's been around since 1887.